Now, it's my great honor to welcome Dr. Rajiv. He is the head of the Department of Social Work at Rajasthan University and core team member of SEVA India. Dr. Rajiv is a respected academician and dedicated social work professional whose leadership and vision has greatly contributed to community development and disaster management and social change. On my personal note, I'm proud to welcome him today as he is also my teacher in Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. Sir, we truly honor to your presence. I warmly welcome to invite you to deliver the welcome address for today's program. Over to you, sir.
Namaste, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Respected guest speaker and all respected members, family members of SEVA India, Social Experts Voluntary Association. And this is a very special day for us. On behalf of SEVA India, we welcome all the participants who have joined in today's very special event. And of course, we know that this is a very special event, also first program in the year of 2026, February. Definitely, I will share a few thoughts and facts that to help set the context of today's event. We know that the global leadership has become more significant than ever in today's world. There is a need to be aware and understand the values, global aspects shaping our shared future. At a time of global uncertainty and rapid change, there is a growing need for ideas that promote peace, understanding, and shared well-being. And this context, our Bharat civilizational rise is gaining a global attention. Every day we are witnessing the day-to-day challenges and how our Bharat incorporates our own ideas and how Bharat's value and wisdom going to a very high speed and very high level. You know that offering timeless values of harmony, inclusiveness, and respect for all life to address today's challenges. SEVA SAMWAAD invites a meaningful dialogue on civilizational rise of Bharat and what does it mean to the world. Definitely, this explores how Bharat's timeless values, cultural wisdom, and inclusive worldview can contribute to global peace, cooperation, and human well-being. This session will explore how Bharat's ancient wisdom, cultural continuity, and value-based worldview can contribute to a global peace, sustainable development, and human well-being in the modern world. The discussion, I feel that will focus on how timeless ideas such as coexistence, dialogue, responsibility, and service can remain relevant in today's interconnected yet divided global society. And today's our guest speaker is one of the very renowned personalities, Shri Soumitra Gokhale ji, Global Coordinator, Hindu Swayamsevak Sangh. Actually, our invitations accepted by Gokhale ji, and today is the day for having a wonderful discussions. And we know that this edition of SEVA SAMWAAD aims to encourage thoughtful conversations that connect civilization values and present-day global realities. SEVA International, SEVA organization, SEVA voluntary organization, definitely have a privilege to welcome our respected guest Soumitra Gokhale ji for this wonderful evening, and all the participants, SEVA India Executive Secretary, General Secretary or Sri Jinesh Raj ji, and other members, all the participants of today's gathering. And I given a warm welcome to all the participants. And please move forward, and we'll start our today's event within 1 or 2 minutes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I'm happy to welcome Mr. Prashant, who is currently working as a Mission Development Officer at Good Shepherd Society. He will be giving a brief introduction about SEVA India and its work. I warmly welcome you, sir. Invite you for the address gathering. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to say a few words about SEVA India. We are a group of development professionals inspired by the principle of Sanatana Dharma, which has guided Indian society for generations. Our work is rooted in Indian values and driven by shared commitment to a build stronger, more inclusive, and self-reliant India. We believe in learning together, serving with a purpose, and respecting every individual without any discrimination. Now I invite all your attention to a short video of a SEVA India. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Prashant. Next, I would like to warmly welcome Jinesh Lal, the General Secretary and a strong pillar of SEVA India. It's my pleasure to have you with this today's session. I'm happy to invite you, Jinesh ji, to take over this moderator of the session. Over to you. From this moment onwards, he will be moderating the program. Thank you.
So namaste sabhi ko. Soumitra ji, namaste. So it's really great honor and privilege to introduce our distinguished speaker, Soumitra ji. I have given the responsibility to give a brief about Soumitra ji. So most of you know about Soumitra ji. He's currently serving as a global coordinator of the Hindu Swayamsevak Sangh, and he's based in United States. Actually, Soumitra ji, originally he's from Pune, completed his bachelor's of engineering from Pune and later pursued his master's degree in mechanical engineering in Canada. After completing his higher studies, he made a conscious decision to dedicate his life to social and cultural services and become a full-time pracharak of an inspired organization for all of us, Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh in India. Since 1999, he has become actively pursuing as a pracharak of the Hindu Swayamsevak Sangh, a global face of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, and continuing significant to the organization development across the Caribbean region, Canada, and the United States. So beyond his organizational responsibility, Soumitra ji is also associated with the global thoughts and research platforms, such as we have an organization called the International Center for Cultural Studies. And he's also contributing in various advisory role with humanitarian organizations such as SEVA International as well. I'm also part of the SEVA International movement globally. Known for his clarity of the thoughts, simple living, and deep commitment to social service, Soumitra ji continue to guide initiatives that promote value-based community development and the global sharing of Bharatiya culture and civilizational perspective. So once again, it's our honor and privilege to have Soumitra ji with us today. And once again, Soumitra ji, thank you so much for accepting our invitation for attending this small gathering. So over to you, Soumitra ji, for your guidance. And yeah, thank you so much, Soumitra ji. Yeah, over to you. Namaste.
Thank you, Jinesh ji. Thank you all and namaste to all the professionals who are voluntarily part of SEVA India. It is my privilege that this is my first time I'm attending this kind of session by SEVA India. Jinesh did tell me that it's on a regular basis that you meet, and your video also mentioned all the things that you do. I congratulate all of you very sincerely for all the good work that you're doing. All of you are professionals and experts and knowledgeable people. I'm here not as an expert, but I'm here because of my responsibility, I get to travel a lot. So because I travel a lot and I see things, observe things, hear things, which I would like to share with all of you. And then hopefully later on we'll be able to interact and have some discussion. This topic also is kind of new to me, although in various different titles, we always speak about this civilizational rise of Bharat. But today's second part of the topic is, what does it mean to the world? What it means to us is, of course, we know it is dear to our heart, but what does it mean to the world is something that we would like to explore. As we all know that Bharat is definitely on the rise, no doubt about it. In the past few decades, we can see that in terms of the economy, Bharat is on the rise. We are already number 4 in world GDP ranking. And if we consider the purchasing power parity adjustment, then we are number 3 in the world. The growth has been quite impressive. And there is something called the World Global Firepower Ranking or Military Strength Ranking. In that also, Bharat is now a number 4. After USA, Russia, China, Bharat ranks number 4 in the military power in the world. There is something called the soft power. You see, I mentioned these two things because these two constitute what is called as the hard power of nations. Military strength, economic strength, its educational institutes, which are also doing pretty well. And then the soft power. There also Bharat is gradually making a mark. Recently, I came across one report which was partly published and now it's going to be fully published. It is called the Responsible Nations Index, done by the World Intellectual Forum right here in New Delhi. And in that one also, Bharat ranks 16th in the world ranking on various factors about internal responsibility of having inclusive growth, external responsibility as how we interact with the other countries in the neighborhood and elsewhere, and of course the environmental responsibility. Like that, they have come up with this index. In that one also, Bharat is number 16. In terms of renewable energy, Bharat has risen very rapidly, and we are number 4 in the world's renewable energy ranking, with almost 52% of all our energy is produced using renewable sources. So like that, our growth is undoubtedly happening. We are feeling it in terms of infrastructure and so on. Outside of Bharat also, the feeling is there in the diaspora and amongst the other countries. Recently, we must have heard about at Davos, Professor Geeta Gopinathji mentioning very emphatically that she is quite clear. She has no doubts that the growth of India will continue. And she says that it may continue and achieve its goals even faster than projected. That is her optimism. So that is definitely there. There is another view of looking at the same thing, that India is rising, but India is rising again. We have all seen the graph produced by the Dutch economist about the world GDP, share of world GDP of China, Bharat, and other countries. And once upon a time, our world GDP share was some 32% in the first millennium. And in the second millennium, gradually it came down. When the British left, it was hardly, meagerly 3% of the world GDP, Bharat's share. And now again it is rising. So in a way, we are rising again. We are re-emerging. So which means what a strong, vibrant, economically powerful Bharat means to the world is not going to happen for the first time. There is a precedence in history. It was there. It was there for a very long time, at least for 1,000 years or even more, we can say, from the 5th or the 3rd century BCE to almost 8th to 9th century CE. It's a long period where now people are calling it the Indosphere, where the influence of Bharat ranged from the Roman Empire to the Southeast Asian empires. Those Southeast Asian kingdoms were actually established by the Indian kings, Indian traders, and that influence is there even now. So which means we are re-emerging on the world stage. China re-emerged even before us. So who is the world talking about more? Is the world talking more about China, or is the world talking more about India? Do they care about the rise of China more than they care about the rise of India? So we'll look at a few examples of some books, some scholars. So I'm just going to take some representative writings. About China, there is a lot of talk. If you scan any newspapers anywhere, and you'll find that there is a lot of talk about the power that China holds. It is always seen as a challenge that China poses. It is always written as what is the threat that China poses. That is how, in those words, usually it is there, because especially coming from the West. Martin Jacques is a British writer. He wrote a book in 2009-10, somewhere there, and the title was When China Rules the World. When China Rules the World. So it's a question, but then he answers that it is a real possibility that China may dislodge the Western powers and it will reshape the world in its own image. In that one, he says that China is not a nation state in the sense of the Western nations, but it is a civilizational state. And it is a challenge to the Western-led modernization. So the entire book is actually talking about the rise of China in the sense that how are we going to deal with it? Now they are going to come and challenge our worldview, and they are going to reshape the world order in the way they would like to. So that is how the book is there. To many other countries which are from the global south, which means African countries, Southeast Asian countries, or even Latin American countries, what China means to them is many of them are part of the so-called BRI project of China, which means they are caught up in the Chinese debt, the debt trap that, is given loans, unsustainable loans are given to these developing countries for infrastructure projects. And they create such a heavy debt burdens that unable to pay, and then China takes over their strategic infrastructure assets. And this has happened in many countries. In Sri Lanka, we know it has happened. In African countries, it has happened. So which means not only the Western powers, but the so-called developing nations also look towards China with a kind of lack of trust. They will have to take the help because they have a cash crunch. They don't have the money, the finances. So they have to take Chinese help. But then they know what it is going to lead to. But in a way, there is a kind of helplessness. So on the one hand, the powerful nations feel it's a threat. The developing nations feel we are helpless in front of China, because China is so hungry for resources for their own development, and they have to keep their economy going, and so on and so forth. Now, what are people saying about Bharat, about India? So some of you may have seen this conference, the conservative movement in America. They have this national conference, NatCon they call it. In that one, Professor Walter Russell Mead, who is a thinker from America, and he is an expert on India. He is quite optimistic, and he says that America should study what's happening in India. America should pay attention to what is happening in India, because rising India is important for America as well, he says. Why? Because first of all, America is a democracy. India is a democracy just like America, and it's a responsible nation, and many other reasons he gives. And he says that, of course, as a counterbalance to China is one reason. And then he says that it will stop any kind of illusion that the China may have to be the hegemonic power in Asia and in the world. If there is anybody who can stop and create a stability and peace, and that will be the rise of India. Then he adds, which is very important, that he also says this, that India should progress without losing its sense of self, and while maintaining the balance in its own society. I think this is quite important, because he comes from the conservative movement. He also has this idea in mind that that kind of sense of self and balance in the society are two important aspects, those should not be sacrificed just for the sake of economic development. So that's how he's looking at of India. There are many others in various ways are saying that we should study and observe very carefully and partner with India in this whole process. In fact, there's a book that came. The name of the book is Our Time Has Come. Our Time Has Come, How India is Making Its Place in the World. It's by one scholar called Alisa Iris. What she says, and I'll read actually so that I won't misquote, she is that more than at any time over the past quarter century, India is well on its way to global power. We are witnessing a country chart its course to power and explicitly seeking not to displace others, but to be recognized among the club of world powers, one in which it believes its membership is long overdue. You see, these two opinions are very important, because they don't sound that they're scared. They don't sound that the rise of India is going to be a threat. In fact, they are saying that we should partner with them so that we can work together towards a better world, towards a more stable world. In just last week, and I'm sure all of you must have heard this, coming from the European Union President, Ursula von der Leyen, she said, while she was announcing the mother of all deals that happened between India and EU, her initial statement was that when they love that India is rising, EU loves that India is rising. When India succeeds, she said, the world is more stable, more prosperous, and more secure, and we all benefit. See, this is how the world is seeing the rise of India. Now, we may say that they're all politicians and they're all political thinkers. They may have their own interests, but this is also reality. Who has understood Bharat, they know that India doesn't rise only for itself. Our history has been such. A country which has attained that kind of powerful position in the world, shared knowledge with the world, shared wisdom with the world, gave so much to the world, and yet never attacked any country, never invaded any country. We may say that, oh, the kings went to Southeast Asia, they did rule there, they did create kingdoms there. Yes, they did. But there was a difference. You see, when we speak about colonization, European colonization, in all the colonized nations or the formerly colonized nations, there's a kind of a bitterness, a sourness, a bad memory about the colonized period, destruction that was happening. If we must say that Southeast Asia was colonized by India and Indian kings, then it was for their good, that was for their enrichment and not for the destruction. This is how India does it differently. So when I said that this is not for the first time it is happening, it has happened in the past, and we have shown how it can be done with a difference. So with this kind of altruistic thinking in our mind of what we call as Vishwa Kalyan, the world should benefit. It is not to destroy, but to enrich, to add. Swami Vivekananda also said that we may have our own faults. It's not that we have perfect history. We are never a perfect society. We had our flaws. Even now we have our own flaws and defects. But we have done so much for the upliftment of the human mind. We have done so much for the upliftment of humankind, human mind and humankind, that it actually outshines all our flaws and defects. So we must keep working on removing all the defects. However, never overlook what our contributions were and what our contributions can be. And hence, now that the world, we know that looks at the rise of India in a very more optimistic and positive way, not only the Western powers. If we go to Africa, and I've traveled to Africa, I've been to Southeast Asia, to Latin America, my personal experience has been that the people there, the common people there, they love any intervention coming from Bharat. They love anything coming from Bharat. You see, one is where the Indian government sent vaccines when nobody else was sharing vaccines through Vaccine Maitri. Obviously, the governments there appreciated it, the people there appreciated it. But even when that was not there, some of us may remember Brazil president had tweeted this picture of Hanumanji carrying vaccine from India to Brazil. It's nice a little picture, appreciating what India has done. But even without that, people on the ground, they look towards India with tremendous amount of respect. They know that yoga came from Bharat. They know that Ayurveda came from Bharat. They know, but they want more about it. They want to learn the art, the music, culture, languages. There is an attraction about everything. When the second version of Mahabharata came on TV, it became popular here, no doubt, but it was even more popular in Southeast Asia. When all the actors and actresses who played part in the Mahabharata, they went there, they were given heroes welcome. Everywhere they went, they became celebrities there. So like that, the kind of soft power and the kind of goodwill about Bharat, it exists everywhere. Recently, in the Southeast Asian countries, Indonesia, for example, which is the largest Muslim country, with the largest Muslim population, even there, they are saying that you have abandoned us for past few centuries. Where are you? We want that connection back. We want India to take a more assertive role, more proactive role, and let that connection continue and strengthen and enrich further. So like that, India definitely has a role to play. And I would say that explicitly or unspoken, the world is looking for it. Experts may be talking about it, writing books about it, but this feeling is there amongst the population of the world. This is my own experience. What can India offer? You see, just like that book, When China Rules the World, there can never be a book called When India Rules the World, because India doesn't exist to rule over anybody else. India exists to share. India exists to teach. India exists to empathize. That is the karma of Bharat and Bharatiyas. Swami Vivekananda used to say that Tyag and Seva are the twin ideals of Bharat and Bharatiyas. And hence, this whole talk about whether Bharat will become Vishwa Guru. Now, sometimes by saying we are Vishwa Guru, it may sound like we are being a little too, preposterous. We are sounding a little egotistic. No, it is not about that. We can never rule the world in the political sense, but we can rule people's minds, and which we do even now. You see, when Swami Vivekananda went to America, 1893, we were a slave nation. We were under the subjugation of United Kingdom at that time. A young Swami, 30 years old, coming from a slave nation, speaking at the World Parliament of Religions and winning over people's minds there through the sheer power of intellect, sincerity, honesty, and the strength of the wisdom that he represented, of millennia old wisdom that he was sharing and the spirituality that he was sharing. Which means Bharat's soft power doesn't rest on its hard power. Our soft power was intact, even we were politically not independent, we were economically very weak, even at that time. Now that our rise is happening, the expectations are going up, I would say, and hence we have to take it with much more responsibility. So this is the time where we first have to become Vishwamitra or Vishwabandhu. How we can befriend the world, how we can also understand the world. And I'm so glad that the Indian diaspora is growing. We are one of the biggest diasporas in the world currently. Some 3 crore Indians live around the world in many, many countries, in fact, almost all the countries. They also play an important role in creating this kind of Vishwabandhuta, Vishwamaitri, because they are the ones who directly are in touch with the people there. Their own conduct, their own interactions. Sometimes in the newspapers we may find examples of those who don't behave properly, those who do not do things right. But largely speaking, we can say that they create the goodwill amongst the people there. Because we get integrated with the societies there, we take part in the happiness and sorrows of the society in those countries. All of you are into the field of development. There are many, many examples, and maybe sometime I can share about how the Indian diaspora has come forward to improve the lives of the people of those countries. Whether starting, water sources, providing food, providing health care, and so many different things. And this is not, I'm talking about recent years. This is there even we became independent. In African countries, when the diaspora went, the traders went, they went there and were the first ones to actually start water purification plants to supply to the villages so that they get good drinking water. Like that, many stories are there. So that for some other time. The point is that the world does expect from us, and we can offer to them. As Will Durant, almost 100 years ago, he predicted. He's an American historian. He wrote the famous book, The Case for India. It is online, it's available for free. Please read it. In that, Will Durant writes that we have, destroyed India, India's culture, civilization. But then he writes, perhaps in return for conquest, arrogance, and spoliation, India will teach us the tolerance and gentleness of a mature mind, the quiet content of the unacquisitive soul, the calm of the understanding spirit, and a unifying, pacifying love for all living things. This is something that Will Durant has predicted 100 years ago, that this is what India will actually give in return to all the destruction that the colonizers have done. Yogi Aurobindo was also quite optimistic about it. He says that Let me read so that I don't misquote. August 15th has its significance not only for us, but for Asia and the whole world. For it signifies the entry into the committee of nations of a new power with untold potentialities, which has a great part to play in determining the political, social, cultural, and spiritual future of humanity. I have always held and said that India was rising not to serve her own material interest only, to achieve expansion, greatness, power, and prosperity, though these two she must not neglect, and certainly not like others to acquire domination of other peoples, but to live also for God and the world as a helper and a leader of the whole human race. So this is exactly when we say Vishwaguru or Vishwamitra and Vishwabandhutva, this is what we are looking for. Now, will it happen just because they have said it? Will it happen just because it is predestined? It won't happen unless we work towards it. In fact, Yogi Aurobindo said about that also. He was asked, do you think Indians are more spiritual than others? He said, no, nothing like that. It is only that our ancestors have created so much that we are inheritors of this spiritual wisdom. So we have the potential to do it. If we don't do it, Yogi Aurobindo says, truth will find some other country where it can manifest itself. So unless and until we actually put our efforts towards it, how can that happen? So a few ideas that came to my mind, that it has to start with identity, swatva. Second step is to be rooted and to act according to our own dharma, swadharma. And then think about Vishwa Kalyan. What can we do? We can develop ourselves to be rooted into the philosophy and the way of life. Learn Sanskrit, understand our own texts and our own frameworks, practice the traditions with that understanding, orient and develop institutes to promote dharmic worldview. Just like you have started SEVA India by Indianizing knowledge, that how we can think original. Long time we have been following, where we can be leaders only if we think original. Being rooted, thinking original, thinking creative for the solutions to modern day problems. And then creative dharmic solutions to contemporary challenges. For that one, around the world we have to do things. The International Day of Yoga is now, it was declared. 175 countries adopted it. They actually co-sponsored it. Itself is an indication. The rise is definitely happening. I was recently in Kashi and Ayodhya. I had also gone to the Kumbh Mela. I was so happy to see that the Mahamagha Mela in Kerala also has now picked up. And you can see that all round civilizational rise is happening. But this has to be channelized so that we can create long-lasting institutions which will carry the message far and wide. This is not something that a few individuals can do. It is not something that an unorganized society can do. We have to definitely organize ourselves so that our articulation, our conduct, and our presentation to the entire world as a model can be done quite effectively. There is already a lot of thought in the business area, in the field of environment, where ideas coming from our Sanatana Dharma are taking roots. In fact, there is a book written by 4 UPenn professors. University of Pennsylvania is an Ivy League school, and their business school is a very famous one. They have written a book called The India Way, where they say, how come so many Indian CEOs become successful? When the company is in trouble, they get Indian CEOs and the Indian CEOs will turn it around. What is the secret? So they interviewed some 50 CEOs and then they wrote this book. Is there something that all of them do in common? So then they said, yes, all of them have a certain way of thinking. They think holistically. They engage the entire stakeholder population for the company in a very holistic way. That is something that is ingrained in us. We may or may not realize. Then they are very good at improvisation and adaptability. Situation changes, they know how to adapt. They know how to come up with new solutions very quickly. They come up with creative value propositions. And they always keep a broad mission and purpose in mind. So you see, there is something inherent there in our thinking that is of such tremendous value to the world for modern day problems. How we can scale it up so that truly the rise of Bharat is not something that only government of Bharat can achieve. Our educational institutes, our voluntary organizations, our families, our guilds, our business organizations, everybody has a role to play. Definitely, all those who took yoga around the world, all the yoga gurus, all the spiritual gurus, they are definitely playing that part. They are taking the wisdom, spiritual knowledge everywhere. But in every aspect of human endeavor, there has to be this mark of Sanatana Dharma. It is Sanatana, means it is timeless, which means it is relevant even today. How we can do it is our challenge as a society. And all of you are working towards it, all of us are working towards it. We definitely have to strengthen, speed up, and do a good job. That is something I think we all definitely feel. I'll end with one thing in this whole turmoil that is happening around the world. The new world order is emerging, and uncertainties are there. New technologies are coming and disrupting the whole life. In this one, how to integrate the age-old idea of samanvaya, of how to reconcile opposing ideas, how to reconcile various viewpoints, how to manage diversity. That is something that the entire world is looking for. The West has been like a pendulum swinging from one end to another, either extreme individualism or extreme socialism, either extreme capitalism or extreme communism. These two ends, how to reconcile, how to harmonize, that is the way of samanvaya that we can offer to the world. Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay in his book Integral Humanism says, to reconcile nationalism, democracy, socialism, and world peace with the traditional values of Bharatiya culture and think of all these ideals in an integrated form is our task. So, from individual, family, communities to organizations and institutes and to nation as a whole, we have definitely a role to play in the world. Bharat's rise means a lot to the world. I think we can be assured of that. And how we can play a part in this, I feel we are quite lucky to be in this, living in these times, quite exciting times. Our ancestors fought and resisted and brought this freedom for us, brought these days for us. Now, how we can take it forward is our responsibility. It lies on our shoulders. This is what I just wanted to present in front of you. If time permits, we can maybe have some questions or other suggestions, or anybody can add to this whole discussion. So thank you very much, and back to you, Jinesh.
Thank you so much, Saumitri. Saumitraji, this was really a insightful thought process you have shared with us. So before going to the open discussion, Saumitraji, shall we have a quick self-introduction of all the participants here?
Oh, I would love
because,
that.
most of them are our active members of this organization, and few new members have also joined for this session. So we'll have a quick introduction. We would expect, because we have 51 members in this program. So let's have a very short introduction, name, your profession, and from your location. So I will call some names by the left side I'm seeing. So let's start with Srikanji. So once you introduce yourself, just open your video camera and unmute yourselves. Yes, Srikanji.
Hi all,